Today on Eagle Nation News, Casey Boston is with a PHS counselor to discuss college applications. If you're a senior, you might want to listen to this.
Maddie Wilbank sat down one-on-one with the youngest airplane announcer in the world to find out which PHS student has one of the neatest jobs at his age.
And finally, we have some information on the Area 51 raid. Nate Tompkins is live in studio with more on that.
Eagle Nation News starts
right now. Good afternoon, Eagle Nation. Today is Friday, September 20th. I'm Cameron Silva.
And I'm Christina Folsom.
If you're a senior or even a junior, you might understand the burden that college applications can place on a student.
Luckily for us, we have Casey Boston and a PHS counselor, Ms. Rowland, with some advice on the stressful topic.
Thanks, guys. So I'm here with Miss Rowland, who is a counselor here at the high school. So it's finally time for seniors to turn in their college applications if they haven't already. What advice do you have for them?
My biggest piece of advice is to do it as soon as possible. Timeliness is super important for college application and for scholarship applications. The sooner the better. First come, first serve kind of situation here.
And I know that some colleges don't require letters of recommendation or personal interviews. Do you recommend doing these things anyway?
I actually don't, because some college websites will even tell you we do not read letters of recommendation. It's just dependent on the school. So do them if they ask for them. If they don't, then hold off.
Okay, and I know that some of my fellow seniors have already applied, but for those who haven't, what's a good range of when you think they should actually have their applications turned in?
Yeah, so when we went into classrooms, we told everyone that we want you to apply to 3 to 5 schools by Thanksgiving. So that's a good cutoff date. You're meeting almost all deadlines for colleges, no matter where you're applying, if you're following that deadline.
Okay, and then what's your final advice that you have for the seniors on their senior year?
Just have a great time. Obviously, academics and your next step is super important, whether that's college or career or military. But have a good time. These are some of the best years of your life.
All right. Thank you so much for being on our show today. Back to you guys at the desk.
Storm Imelda has sent 13 different counties into a state of disaster, officially declared yesterday by Texas Governor Greg Abbott. Flash flooding and torrential rain have left residents of Houston stranded in their homes and vehicles. Unfortunately, at least 2 have been confirmed dead.
An Irving Middle School was on lockdown status after reports of a man with a gun on campus yesterday morning. The police searched the area while parents were urged to travel to a campus nearby to meet up with their children. The school was declared safe when the police did not find anyone with a gun. As you may be able to tell by the sky, the conditions for tonight's game aren't looking so bright. We may catch a break just in time for tonight's game, however.
Casey Boston is in studio with your fast forecast.
Thank you, Cameron and Christina. Today we will have a high of 87 and a low of 73 with mostly cloudy weather. We may receive rainfall later in the afternoon. Even though this is not ideal weather for the football game tonight, it may clear up by kickoff and should be a lot of fun. Better yet, it's just down the road in McKinney. Looking into this weekend, temperatures should be pretty nice, ranging from the 70s in the morning to the high 80s later in the afternoon, being mostly cloudy. Next week as a whole looks pretty cloudy with some possible thunderstorms. Well, that's all that I have for you today. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Casey. After this, Nate Tompkins discusses how a meme became reality and what the severe repercussions are.
Stay tuned.
We are open before and after school, during Eagle Time, and during all lunches.
We offer chips, candy, drinks, and also spiritware.
Come to the Eagle Shack.
Now we send it over to Nate Tompkins with your Talent Talk update, brought to you by Corporate Orthodontics.
Many of you have probably heard of the Area 51 meme that circulated around social media a few months ago. Well, today is the long-awaited day, the day that people plan to raid Area 51. Alien hunters are arriving at Area 51 after a viral craze that saw them commit to storm the mysterious U.S. military base. According to independent news, there have been warnings from the U.S. military to anyone who might think of actually trying to breach the base's defenses. There have also been dire warnings from locals who have suggested that visitors might not be able to cope in a town in a harsh environment with no grocery store and little cellular coverage. Science reporter Andrew Griffin has been keeping us posted of the newest information regarding this event. According to Associated Press, it was about 75 people that gathered at the Area 51 gate. At least 2 were detained by the sheriff's deputies, it reported. These 2 being named Thais Granzier and Charles Wilhelmus. Be sure to head over to our Twitter and Instagram and let us know your thoughts on this long-awaited event. Well, it's all the time I have for you today. Back to you guys at the desk.
There are many fantastic students at Prosper High School, but one student stands out among others, being the youngest in the world in his field.
Maddie Wilbanks has more.
Jed Henderson is a student here at PHS who has an airshow announcing career that he keeps up with outside of school.
I'm an airshow announcer. My dad flies the airshow and does all the aerobatics in the sky, and I'm talking on the microphone while he's doing that. Part of the time I can explain, what he's doing. I can explain his background, how he's gotten there. Sometimes I talk about his competitions that he's won in the past. There's a lot of different things you can do, just kind of interact with the crowd a little.
Jed isn't just any airshow announcer. He happens to be the youngest announcer in the world.
All the airshow announcers in the world, basically, are a lot older. He's the world's youngest airshow announcer. Here at 16, he's already had 9 years experience. I stuck a microphone in front of him. I said, critique my flying like you do when we're at home practicing.
He announces for his father during these airshows. But how does this affect their relationship?
It's a father-son act, kind of, and so it's more of a specialty because all the other performers, they just fly and there's an announcer for the rest of them. But ours is a little bit different because it's a different style of act. It's a totally different airplane, and I am a very, very different announcer from the rest of them, being so young.
It works real well because we have a business side and then we have a father-son side. And so it works out. It's a little bit of a balancing act, but it works fine. And he's becoming very popular, and he's now stealing my thunder, and that's just fine.
For Eagle Nation News, I'm Maddie Wilbanks. Prosper.
Now we send it over to Maggie Hale with your Game Time Sports Update.
Last night, the Prosper hockey team faced off against Frisco in their season opener. The first period started out back and forth until Frisco's Jeremiah Russo scored. Once again, the competition was tight, but Prosper's very own Owen Ramsey scored with 1 minute and 33 seconds left in the first period. Switching over to the second period, Prosper came out hot. Joey Pasciuta scored a goal for Prosper within the first minute. Prosper took the lead 2-1 and headed into the third period. As the game was coming to a close, Frisco's David Farber was able to squeeze in one last goal, pushing the teams to a 5-minute overtime. They then went into a shootout where Brendan Zeiss came in with a clutch shot, winning the game for the Eagles 3-2. The Prosper goalie for the night, Nicholas Alford, played for 50 minutes and saved 24 out of the 26 shots against him. Prosper Hockey will face off against Keller next Thursday in the McKinney Star Center at 8 p.m. You don't want to miss out on watching these talented athletes, so make sure you're there. If you want to hear more sports like this, be sure to tune in every day for your Sports of the Week. Back to you guys at the desk.
Well, that's all the time we have for you today. For Eagle Nation News, I'm Christina Folsom.
And I'm Cameron Silva. Live long and prosper.